All right. Sorry, I have lots of patience. Nahingan na ako. Well, our topic for this afternoon is about stress and crisis. This is part of, actually, this is one of the social determinants of health, which is stress. Last week, we have started learning about wellness, and I hope you were more enlightened on what you can do to prevent disease and promote health, no? And part of disease prevention is to address stress, okay? Now, before we started our topic for this afternoon, I would like you to go through with this particular activity or exercise, okay? Please get a scratch paper, any paper at all, something that you can write on, and then have ball pen with you. I'm going to show you the social readjustment rating scale. So this is the tool that was used to identify stressful events in life, but they call it life events. And they have ranked those life events into one up, okay? Rank number 1 and then up to the last, okay? For each of these ranked life events, there are corresponding value points, okay? So if that particular life event, for example, is relevant to you, even if it happened around 2 years ago, 1 year ago, but it's still affecting you, then give yourself the corresponding points, okay? So I would just like you to experience this, and we will try to determine whether you are under a lot of stress or not. So let us see. What do you think is the number 1 stress in life? What do you think is the number 1 stressor in life? Any guess?
Family problem po, Dok.
Family problem. What kind of family problem kaya yan, Imo?
Financial.
Financial. Okay. So, ang daming ngayon under stress because of financial problem.
Actually
Meron
po.
ka, di ba? So, sige, sabi ni Luis, financial. Anything else apart from, let me ask Acosta, do you agree that it's financial?
Death po.
Death? Okay. Who's death?
Pag namatayan ka po ng kapamilya, ganun kamag-anak.
Kapamilya, kamag-anak. So, no particular relationship. Hindi ba yan anak? Hindi ba yan magulang?
Kapatid po or magulang po.
Okay, so close family member. Tama ba?
Yes po, Doc.
What about you, Mara? Ayesha, any thoughts about it? What can be the most stressful life event?
Yung problem po sa marriage po, like divorce or separation.
Okay, divorce or separation. So may mga idea kayo. So let us see what the study showed, no? The number 1 is death, but death of a spouse. Okay? Remember yung family in later years natin? I told you to screen for depression in the elderly because there are multiple losses. Okay, among those losses, number 1 of which that could trigger depression is death of a spouse. So pansinin niyo, no, pagka namamatayan, maririnig niyo, no, you would hear people saying it is as if a part of me also died, no? A part of me died with a person, okay? So it's true, especially for couples, whether they are married or not married, parang when they were joined together, they became as one. Okay, so that's why it's the death of a spouse is the most stressful life event. Okay, the second one that it was already mentioned. Look at second one, divorce, and the third one is marital separation. Almost the same. Except that for us here in the Philippines, hindi pa kasi legalized ang divorce, no? But there are a lot of separations here. But it is doubly difficult for Filipinos because many would not go through the legal separation. So many times it's the wife and the children that suffers kasi they cannot get, you cannot mandate the husband to support them. Maraming ganun nangyayari. Pag naghiwalay, kawawa yung wife na hindi nagtatrabaho at saka yung mga anak. And you cannot compel the husband because they did not go to the legal separation. No? So, divorce and marital separations are ranked consecutively number 2 and number 3. So, I hope none of you have experienced divorce or marital separation. Bata pa naman kayo, wala pa naman siguro sa inyong ikinakasal. Okay? So, let us see number 4. Jail term. So, siguro wala pa naman nakulong sa inyo. Pero itong number 5, this can be relevant, especially for the past pandemic, for the past 2 years. I think there were a lot of deaths in the family. Okay, so it is doubly difficult if it's a spouse, no, husband or wife, and it would also be difficult if a sibling died, no, parents died, children died, okay, due to the pandemic. A lot of us suffered during the pandemic. There are multiple losses. So why am I emphasizing this? Because in the clinics, if you're a doctor and you are in a pandemic, you have to be sensitive to these issues. The symptoms may be a representation of grief, bereavement, or pathologic grief for that matter, depression. So, dapat marunong kang tumingin ng mga simptoma that can represent possible bereavement or pathologic grief. And you should be able to address those concerns. Okay? So, the death of a close friend, whether COVID or non-COVID, lalo na sa COVID, kasi panahon ng 2020, di ba, 2021, you cannot even see them. I-burn na lang sila, i-cremate na lang, and then you have to dispose them. Okay? Ang hirap no, hindi mo sila makikita. That's a difficult death. And therefore, difficult bereavement. So what can be number 6? I hope you are not in bereavement, although there were those students who filed for a leave of absence before because of death in the family. So number 6 is personal injury, 7 is marriage, number 8 is fired from work. Now, look at this personal injury or illness. So it may not be death, but somebody got sick. Nung surge, ang dami sa inyong mga naapektuhan nito, no? Either kayo nagkasakit o yung family members niyo yung nagkasakit. Okay, either way, it would affect you. And in terms of your performance in school, these different life events may affect your performance in school. Okay? In the same manner, your patients might also be affected by all these things, and they may present to you with multiple symptoms. So, but let us take a look at marriage, number 7. Marriage kasi is something that you can look forward to, right? It's something that is beautiful. But how come it can also be a source of stress? Do you have any idea? Can I call on, dito naman tayo sa baba, Maria Clarissa Vilog?
Yes, Doc.
Oh, bakit kaya itong marriage na to? Di ba something beautiful ang marriage? Pero bakit siya rank number 7 in terms of source of stress? Bakit kaya?
Sa madalas po na pag-aaway ko ng mag-asawa ko.
Nag-aaway. Choppy ka, iha. So, marital arguments. Yes.
Opo.
What about you, Roy?
Due to financial po. Usually po yung pinag-aawayan. Usually financial.
Financial, marriage, financial problem, marital arguments, yes. What about you, Marian Uy? Anything else? So yung marriage, prior to marriage, would there also be problems?
Pressure from relatives po.
Ha?
Pressure from relatives po, Doc.
pressure from relatives, ibig sabihin kung ayaw ka nung mapangasawa mo, pamilya niya, is that what you're saying?
Yes po. Or saka ano rin po kasi kapag yung feel ng isolation din po sa self.
Paano yun? Paano siya magkakaroon ng isolation? And
Parang
maybe,
kasi,
yeah? Can you expound?
ano,
Adjustment? Sabi ni Stephen, adjustment from being single to being married po. Pwede rin, no? A lot of adjustments for newly married couple, no? Tama yun. So, apart from financial, apart from pressure from in-laws, kasama lahat yun sa adjustment. Pero bago ka ikasal, bakit ganun? May na-stress din, di pa man din sila nagsasama, nag-iisip pa lang magpakasal, nagpiprepare pa lang for marriage. And yet, ano na sila, source na siya ng stress. Bakit kaya? What can bring about stress in that particular instance?
Expectations po, Dok.
Expectations? What else? Yes. Di ko magkasundo. Marriage preparation, yan. Tama ito na Rivera Jenna Marie. I would agree with you. Bukod sa mga sinabi nila, this is important, no? Marriage preparation po, masyadong madaming need ayusin. Nakaka-stress yun, yung preparation, lalo kung bonggang-bongga yung pinaghahandaan mo. Di ba? Financial cost would also be a problem there while preparing. So, ano yung nauso ngayon para hindi masyadong stress ang bride at saka groom? How do they handle that now? The stress of preparation for marriage preparation. What business have come up because of that?
Wedding planner po.
Ayun, wedding planner, wedding organizer, may wedding singer ka pa. Everything, di ba? So, depende na yun sa'yo kung anong package ang gusto mo. Ang purpose mo, maging maganda yung wedding mo, and at the same time, hindi ka na-stress. Kasi nung unang panahon, nung wala pang wedding planner, naku po, yung bride and groom, imbes na sila pinakamaganda, mukha silang stress. Mas maganda pa kanila mga abay. Okay, so do you understand the point? It's something to look forward to, marriage, but it can also be a source of stress. So I hope none of you is married at this point, because if you are going to get married, now that you are still in med school, it would be doubly difficult for you. Alright, so can we now move on to the next set? Tingnan nyo kung meron kayong value points na makukuha, Okay, for the Rex, number 9 to 14. So let us take a look at number 9. Okay, marital reconciliation. Bakit kaya? Just like marriage, something positive, and yet it can be a source of stress. And it is rank number 9. Hindi biro yun, number 9 siya. Marital reconciliation. Bakit kaya? What seems to be the reason why it is rank number 9? Can I hear from Tungal Faye?
Doc, readjustments din po dun sa relationship.
Pero di ba may kasabihan na love is lovelier the second time around? Di ba? Mahirap pa rin ba yun? Love is lovelier the second time around? Sino ba dito yung naranasan ito? Mas mahirap ba? I would agree with you, no? Yung expectations. Siyempre, ayaw nyo nang maulit yung pinagdaanan nyo, no? So, nandun yung pressure. So, kung minsan malilid pa yung they somehow, alam mo yung sa Tagalog yung sumbat? Sinusumbatan niya yung tao, no? So, nakaraan na yun, past is past. So, move on na, move forward. Okay? So, yes, tingnan natin nasa chat. Doc, yung true issues, ano ibig sabihin? Trust issues, yes, trust issues. Ayun nga, minsan, nagkakasumbatan, ano? Mahirap po pag may lamat na, Doc. Parang may hugot ka iha. Yes. But, yes, no? It's worth trying to reconcile. Why not? Especially if you still love each other. But, yes, it can be stressful for both parties. And number 10, retirement. So number 1 and number 10 are both relevant for our patients in later years, our elderly couples. Okay? So we have top 1 and top 10 that rated as source of stress. So relevant yun for our elderly. So take note of that. No? That's why you need to screen for depression in the elderly. So let's take a look at number 11, change in family members' health, pregnancy, sex difficulties, addition to the family. Look, pregnancy, just like marital reconciliation, marriage, no, it's a good thing. No, many people would look forward to pregnancy, but in what way could it be a source of stress? Can I call on season Sandra Carmela? Yan, no, pregnancy.
Pregnancy po siguro is yung arisement ng responsibilities.
Okay. That's why for some people they develop postpartum depression. Yes. What else? And during pregnancy itself, ano pang pwede maging problema sa pagiging pregnant?
Mood swings siguro. Sorry.
Mood swings, yes. So, would you agree with Andrea? Sabi niya, unplanned pregnancy. Would you agree that if pregnancy is unplanned, pregnancy is unwanted, all right, that pregnancy will be a source of stress? Yes, it's true. Okay? Aside from the hormonal changes that you develop when you are pregnant, kaya pregnant women are vulnerable, no, to depression as well because of the hormonal changes, and you have the child in your womb that you also need to take care of. Okay, so be careful with pregnancy. It's a nice event. Many people look forward to this, but it can also be a source of stress. Now, I would like to highlight change in family members' health. So it may not be death, but just a disease or sickness in the family. Okay? So hindi man kayo ang nagkasakit, yung family members naman ang nagkasakit. Okay? So be aware of this because it can really affect you even if you are not the one who got sick. If you are just a caregiver, then that would also matter. Kaya sa clinic, hindi lang yung pasyente kinukumusta namin kasi most of the time when patients come to the clinic, they are with accompanying person eh. And yun nga lang, this pandemic, nilimit natin yun, no? Those who are with comorbid and those who are elderly, we allow accompanying person. Pero during the face-to-face, when there are accompanying persons for every patient, we do take time to ask them how they are because as caregivers, it's also difficult for them to take care of a family member. Financial difficulty po. Okay, tama for pregnancy. Pero ito importante ito ha, especially these days since pandemic began. Okay, hindi ka man ang mag-COVID, pamilya mo naman magka-COVID. Ang hirap, di ba? Affected kayong lahat. Okay, so I really suspect that during those times, you have difficulty studying, you would have difficulty taking the exams, and definitely it could have affected your performance in your academic life, no? Because of these issues in health. All right? Even addition to the family, remember, Filipino families are extended families. If there is more than the nuclear family, it would also take adjustments. Eh. So it's always a problem of adjustment if there are a lot of people inside the house. Okay, any addition can be a cause of stress. Okay, unless malaking bahay niyo, hindi kayo masyado nagkikita. No, but if it's just an ordinary house, any addition to the family may also be a source of stress. Okay, in addition to the financial cost. So those are the first 14 events. Which of those are relevant to your life? May it be a year ago, 2 years ago, or it may be relevant as of this point because it's happening right now. So give yourself the corresponding value points. Okay, so that's for life events that are ranked 1 to 14. So let's take a look now at the next set of life stressors. Look, 15 to 19. Change in financial status. Death of a close friend. Change to different line of work. Change in the number of marital arguments. Yung kanina, di ba, marriage in general. Pero this one is more specific, marital arguments. That is rank number 19. But I would like to highlight change in financial status because there are a lot of people now who are suffering from this economic problem. Diba kahapon, ewan ko kung nabikon pa kayo kahapon, ang haba ng pila sa gas station. Doon sa hindi branded na gasoline station. Kasi nga, nag-increase ng gas, diba? 5 pesos ang itinaas. So you can just imagine the implication to the prices of commodities and even for the transportation fare. Alright? It's not hindi siya biro. And the cost of it to the workforce. So ina-anticipate na namin yan. Marami na naman tayo magiging pasyente dahil sa the change in financial status can aggravate chronic conditions. And it can bring about new health problems. Or it can also lead to decrease in number of consult. Kasi karamihan sa kanila, may health card yan eh. So kung wala na silang pambayad na sa health card, o wala na silang pambayad sa consultation fee mo, they will not seek consult with private physician. But there would be an increase in consult in government hospitals. Yun ang mangyayari dyan. Kaya laging maraming pasyente sa gobyerno, sa government. Less and less patient in the private sector because of this change in financial status. So these are the next set of life stressors. See if there is anything here that is relevant to you. Now, mortgage or loan, 10,000 times 50. I hope you do not have this kind of problem. So, huwag kayong magka-credit card, wala pa kayong pambayad niya, no? Be merciful to your parents. Of foreclosure or mortgage or loan. Change in work responsibilities or son or daughter leaving home. Remember launching families, no? So, son or daughter leaving home, this should be LEA, I'm sorry for the wrong spelling. Son or daughter leaving home is an issue of launching family. So, it is ranked 23. Okay? So, leaving home may mean going abroad or going somewhere else to work, or leaving home because they are going to get married, or leaving home because they just want to feel independent. Okay? A lot of reasons. But there would always be an impact on the parents because they have difficulty letting go. And it is rank number 23. Okay? For the next set of stressors, 24 to 27, look, I highlighted outstanding personal achievement. Okay? Bakit kaya? Itong number 26, stop working. So, ibig sabihin, nawala na ito ng trabaho. Okay? And start or fishing school. In your case, you just finished your college, but you have just started with your med school. In both instances, it really is stressful for you. Kaya siya number 27. No? So I hope at this point in time, second semester, you have already adjusted to your new school. Different culture, different set of friends, no? Iba-ibang difficulties yan, ibang experience na naman, but you have to welcome it. You need to accept that it is. You have to live with it. Okay? You cannot forever complain. Okay? You just have to accept the fact that you are now in med school, and med school is different. Okay? But I would like you to take note of this outstanding personal achievement. Bakit kaya yan ganyan? So, sino bang may outstanding personal achievements sa inyo dito? Anybody? Meron ba ditong ano? Ay, siyempre, pag tinanong kong gano'n, stress na yun, di ba? So, tanong natin si Silo Patricia Ann. Bakit kaya ang pagiging outstanding student nakaka-stress?
Siguro po, Doc, kasi parang yung person po na yan parang under a lot of pressure po, and once na parang may achieve po siya na something great, parang he or she will face big changes po sa life niya, and that will cause stress po, and also baka mag-worry po siya na yung mga next step niya is parang hindi niya mas mahigitan yung na-achieve niya po lately.
Okay, so pressure from outside and pressure to himself, no? So if you have personal achievement, medyo nahihirapan sabihin, nahihirapan umamin kasi alam niya mapipressure siya. So on your part, on our part, please do not bully them. Huwag niyong tinutokso. No, huwag niyong namang iabuso. Kasi usually magaganda ang notes niya mga yan. During our time, yung mga may outstanding personal achievement, kawawa yung mga notebook nila kasi sinisirox namin. Hindi na sila makahindi. So, wag naman gano'n, no? Naging estudyante rin ako. Looking back, sabi ko, ay mali yun. Nakakaawa naman yung estudyante, no? Hindi naman niya kasalanan maging matalino siya. So, do not bully them. You can probably request, but do not force them. Don't tease them at all. Just let them be and enjoy their achievements. And for you, if you are an outstanding student, do not pressure yourself too much, no? What is more important is EQ, not necessarily IQ. Itong problema sa matatalino at may outstanding personal achievement, if they don't get the grade that they want, they get depressed so easily. For ordinary student, probably masaya pa sila. Pero sa kanya, since bumaba yung grade niya, affected na siya masyado. So the EQ is really something, no? So if you have an outstanding personal achievement, please take care of your emotions as well. Be realistic, no? It's not all the time that you can perform well. There are times when you would somehow, not necessarily fail, but you may not get the grade that you want, almost always, no? So, be merciful and be kind to yourself. Okay? So, and the next set would be change in living conditions, revisions of personal habits, struggle with boss, change in work hours, change in residence. I highlighted change in living conditions. This has been always a factor for student performance. Why? Because in the past, when there was face-to-face, many students live in dormitories, live in condominiums or apartments around the area. And definitely the kind of living conditions that they have is far from what they have at home. No? Wala silang yaya, wala silang katulong, no, yung pagkain hindi ganun kasarap. Alam mo yun, talagang there is always a pressure in trying to adjust to your new living conditions. So yung iba, they are affected because they cannot adjust. So I usually tell them it's either you stay there and force yourself to adjust, or you better stay na lang with your family but take the risk of getting stuck in traffic. And being in a traffic every day is always stressful. It's also stressful. So, maswerte nga kayo, nasa bahay kayo Ang hirap ng unang panahon, no? Because yung traffic, ang tindi ng traffic. So, I think what is more ideal is blended. May times na nasa school ka, may times na nasa bahay ka lang. Especially prior to exam. Okay. Maraming hindi nakakakuha ng exam dati dahil nalilate. O kaya di nagigising. Yan. Change in living conditions. Change in residence, yung inyong permanent address to. So do not try to change residence in the middle of the semester, because any change in residence would entail adjustment. Okay? So these are the stressors, and these are the corresponding values. See which one of this is relevant to your life. And the next one is, puro change na to. change in school, recreational habits, change in church activities, and change in social activities. These were all affected during the pandemic. Okay, more so for you, no? Wala na kayong face-to-face, na hindi niyo pa namimit yung mga classmates niyo up to now. Okay? A lot of things, no? Kasi sa church, hindi tayo nakakapag-church, puro Zoom na lang. So, tingnan ninyo, kung relevant ito sa inyo. Itong change in school, definitely you are new in our school. So, sabi ko nga sa inyo, by this time, dapat adjusted na kayo. Okay? So, which among these is relevant to you? Okay, so you give yourself corresponding points. The next one is rank 37 to 39. Look, I highlighted change in sleeping habits and change in eating habits. Ilang oras pa ba tulog ninyo? Pwede ko bang tanungin? Santos Christine, is there any change in sleeping habits in med school?
Yes po, Doc. Lalo na po pag yung exam weeks po.
So, ilang oras ang tulog nyo on the average?
6 hours.
6 hours? Oh, okay pa yun, 6 hours. So, ano yun, may shifting exam yung 6 hours?
Depende po, Doc. Pag siguro mga exam, mga 4 hours.
Oo. Pero not less than 4 hours. Otherwise, lightheaded ka na nun. No? May mental block ka. May mental block ka during the exam. So, still, sleep is very important during exams. No? So, you make it a point that you really study. So what you need to do is, you need to prepare ahead of time so that you will not cram. Because sleep is very important during exams. Now, change in eating habits. What do you notice with yourself? Ay, kasi nga naman, nasa bahay pa kayo actually, no? But even at home, did you notice that your eating habits are affected by school? Was there any effect in your eating habits as a medical student? Can I call on Jenna Rivera? Is there any change in your eating habits when you were in now that you're in med school?
Yes po, mas malala po kumain ko. Even,
Ano, pakiulit?
sorry, mainit. Mas malala po ako kumain ngayon.
Mas madalang kumain.
Malala po, malala.
Ano yung malala?
Like, before, I don't use snacks kung ano yung kinakain ko ng lunch as is, dinner as is. Pero ngayon parang, may time na may break time, ganap agad ako ng snacks.
So medyo choppy ka kasi di ko masyadong maintindihan. Yan ba yung stress eating?
I think so po.
Oo. Kasi doon sa isang section, stress eating agad ang sinabi sa akin eh. So ano daw ba yung stress eating? Ayun, kain ng kain. Pero kinakain ka naman yan, junk food. So you will end up what? With increased weight. Ganyan yung mga karamihan ng pasyente ngayon. Nagtatabaan, nagtataasan ng sugar, cholesterol. Ang pag tinanong mo sila, doktora kasi, pandemic, hindi ako masyado nakakalabas. Work from home po ako. So, walang physical activity tapos kain pa ng kain. So, yan, nagkaroon sila ng medical problem. So, see if this is relevant to you. Alright? And the last set is vacation, Christmas season, and manner violation of the law. Now, look at vacation and Christmas season. These are events that we do look forward to. But how can they can also be a source of stress? In what way can they be a source of stress? May I call on Reyes John Henry? Paano kaya? Bakit kaya?
Financial stress po yung babayaran sa gastos, ganun, sa mga vacation.
Oo.
Sa preparation ng mga pagkain sa Christmas, ganun.
Tama. Yung pagkain, yung ano pa ba? Yung ireregalo mo. Di ba? Mga tao basta pagdating ng Christmas season, hindi na I mean, they do not know what to do na with their money. Okay? Sabi nung isa sa isang section sa bakasyon, yung pasalubong daw. Okay. So, meron gano'n, no? Pasalubong, nakaka-stress din yan. So, during the exam, ito nakita ko, minor violation of the law. So please do not do things that will, that will make the proctor suspect that you are cheating. Kasi just being told in the help room is already stressful for you. So be careful with your actions during exam, so that none of those would be misinterpreted or interpreted as form of cheating. Because I have seen a lot of students, okay, who have been brought to the help room, and it was kind of stressful for them. Pagbalik nila dun sa exam, parang nablangko na sila. So be careful with your actions during the exam. Okay, so those are the top 1 to 42 life events. So kindly, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to sum up the total points that you got, the value points that you got from all those life events that are relevant to you. Okay? See if you have any from this. So have you summed up your total points? So let us see. What is the relevance of this social readjustment rating scale? They have this was the tool that they use in order to find out or to determine whether health and stress, and this is stressors, are correlated. Whether there is a correlation between stress and health. And they have found out that there is. From among you who got 150 points and less, are there? Please raise your hand. Are there students who got 150 and below? In terms of the value points? Meron ba? Walang nakakuha ng less than 150? O isa lang? 2, 4, 5, 6, 9, 11, okay, 14. So ano yun, 1/4 of your class? For less than 150, you have 37 chance of illness during the next 2 years. So the lower your score, the better. Less likely ka to develop an illness. You only have 37% chance. Now, for those who got more than 150 to 300, how many are you kaya? Can you raise your hand? 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 14, 15. Almost the same with, less than 150. Yours naman, you have, okay, 14, 51%. Chance of illness during the next 2 years. So higher. Is there anyone who got, kasi 30 plus lang kayo eh, meron bang nakakuha ng more than 300 among you? Walang nakakuha ng more than 300? Because if you got more than 300, you are really under a lot of stress. And you would have an 80% chance of developing illness during the next 2 years. Okay, so this is the correlation. The higher your stress, the higher the chance of developing an illness. Okay, that's why you need to take care of yourself. No? You need to address stress because stress is a determinant of health. Ang problema, ang stress, napaka-broad. No? Napakarami niyang pwedeng panggalingan. Hindi lang isa. Okay, as we have seen, there are 42 life events actually that can bring about a lot of stress. So stress, as what we have been discussing, is a response. No? It's the non-specific response of your body to any demand. Okay? It's your response to a life event. The stressor is the life event. And how you respond to it is what we call as stress. And there are two types of stress. This can be distress or eustress. When you talk of distress, this is something that is unpleasant or disease-producing. This is one thing that we do not want. No? What we want is eustress. It is good, pleasant, or curative stress. Ito yung supposedly that marriage and pregnancy can bring about. But if not handled very well, it can also lead to distress. So this is what we want because it's pleasant, it's curative. Okay? And this is what we do not want, distress. Alright? And when we are under stress, we actually would experience the general adaptation syndrome, which consists of alarm reaction, stage of resistance, and stage of exhaustion. When you talk of alarm reaction, it is when your defense mechanisms are mobilized. And the stage of resistance, optimum channels of defense were developed, and in the stage of exhaustion, it reflects depletion of adaptation energy. Now, try to imagine yourself during exams. Okay? During examination period. Bakit kaya sa umpisa okay kayo? Pagdating dun sa dulo, wala na. You would actually see there the evolution of this general adaptation syndrome. What do you notice during the alarm reaction? Before the exam, what do we feel? What symptoms do you develop? Can I call on Rarang, Dania? Ano yung mga symptoms na napapansin mo sa sarili mo?
Nervous po. Nervousness.
Pag nervousness, exactly paano yun? In terms of signs, ano yung makikita mo? Ano yung manifestation nun? Paano mo
Palpitations po.
Okay, palpitation. What else?
Yung
Palpitation
feeling
lang
of nasusuka po.
Susuka. Grabe ka, nasusuka ka. O ano pa? Sweating. Tama.
Yes, sweating.
When you get the blood pressure, what do you expect?
Higher po.
Mataas, yes. So, since nagpa-palpitate ka, pag kinuha mo pulse rate mo, anong makukuha mo?
Nasa hundreds po.
Okay. So, those are signs of alarm reaction. That's your fight response, right, to a threat. The threat of the exam. So, that is your fight response. Diba? Fight or flight response. What particular part of your nervous system is responsible for that? Ramos Irby. What will be responsible for your fight response? Fight or flight response?
Yung autonomic nervous system po.
Okay. What particular part of your autonomic system?
Yung parasympathetic po.
Sympathetic. Okay, sympathetic. That would be responsible for your increase in blood pressure, for your palpitation, for your tachycardia, for your sweating. That will be the one responsible for increase in blood sugar when you are under stress. Okay, those are all part of your alarm reaction. But what happens in the middle of the examination? Like, for example, second, third, fourth day na, what do you notice? What happens to you? Do you still feel the same way? May I call on Pulumbarit, Sean Paulo?
Meron na pong parang ayaw mo na mag-exam. So there's a feeling na you just want to get it over with.
Okay, so dito na yon sa stage of exhaustion. Halos wala ka na mapigla. You would I kind of surprised, no? 2 hours, 30 minutes, tapos na, 1 hour. Tapos na. Pag tinignan mo yung score, ang baba. So, bakit gano'n, no? Pagod na. Ayaw na mag-isip. Correct? Pero stage of exhaustion na yun. Pero bago ka umabot sa stage of exhaustion, for somehow, in stage of resistance, you are able to adjust. There would be less of the alarm reaction, less of the nervousness, because somehow you have a feel now of what to do. And somehow you have developed now your testmanship. But towards the end of the examination period, usually yan, yung Saturday niya yan, or Friday, you are really, you do feel exhausted already. No matter what you do, you cannot, things cannot sink in na into your brain. Parang lahat ng receptors mo filled up na, lahat ng enzymes nyo piga na. So that is the stage of exhaustion. Okay? So you can just imagine if every day lagi ka nasa alarm reaction. Okay? At the end of the semester, you might probably really end up with a disease. Kaya ang bottom line dyan, you should be able to lessen this alarm reaction. Para hindi kayo pagod. You need to prepare ahead of time. So you would not feel alarm reaction so much, you would not feel this state, you would not somehow have this stage of exhaustion. Kasi hindi mo masyadong piniga yung sarili mo. You are prepared for it anyway. So less yung ganitong feeling of exhaustion if you are able to prepare. So study ahead of time. So yan ang ating general adaptation syndrome. Now in terms of the family, the stress is manifested by dysfunctional family patterns, as well as the occurrence of signs and symptoms in its individual family members. No? So if the family is under stress, you have to look at not only with your index patient, probably the rest of the family members will also have signs and symptoms sooner or later. Okay, so the life events that we have just discussed in social adjustment rating scale are the stressors, and they can be categorized as internal or external. So when you talk of internal stressors, these are intrafamilial within the unit itself, within the family. Okay, and this is actually more difficult to deal with because family yan no? You are emotionally involved. So it's very difficult if the stressors are coming from your own family. No? Mas nakakaano yan, mas nakaka-distract yan sa inyo. Alright? As opposed to stressors that are external in source. External can be interfamilial or extrafamilial. So when you talk of interfamilial, you talk of stressors coming from the other systems in the community. Relatives, neighbors, friends, and even doctors. Doctors can be a source of stress as well. So in what way can we be a source of stress? Can I call on Micaela Prejoles? Sa tingin mo, in what way can we be a source of stress to your patient? Micaela?
Yes po.
In what way can you be a source of stress to your patient?
If may yung isasabihin mo po sa patient is bad news po, like sa condition niya po.
Okay, so if you are the bearer of bad news, no, bad news na nga, pangit pa ng pagko-communicate mo, it would make the bad news even worse. Is that the only way that you can be a source of stressor to your patient? Was a source of stress? Anything else apart from what has been said? Can I call on sino po ba yan? Saan ba akong tumigil? Can I call on Tresni Pilapil? Anything else apart from bearer of bad news? As a doctor? Tresni, are you there?
Andito po.
Oh, in what way can you be a source of stress to your patient apart from being a bearer of bad news?
Siguro po pag hindi ka po nakapag-communicate na maayos sa patient, baka mas stress po siya sa inyo.
Okay, pag pinapagalitan mo yung pasyente. or ini-ignore mo siya, no? Nakaka-stress yun sa pasyente. So, tingnan natin nasa chat box. Kapag walang pambayad, tama ka dyan. Walang pambayad. Or napakaraming mong ni-request na laboratory, no? Nagkakamot na yun sa ulo. Dok, ano po bang mauna dito, no? Diba? O kaya ang dami mong binigay na gamot sa kanya. Nakaka-stress yun sa patient, no? So, well, if it's really kailangan, why not? But you have to communicate it well to your patient to lessen the burden, no? So, you really have to make sure that you are communicating well. Your verbal, non-verbal, your paralinguistics, even if the content is right, but you are not saying it the right way, then you can still be a source of stress. And of course, extrafamiliar, political, social, and cultural issues. The whole pandemic itself is considered the extrafamiliar stressor. It's something that, you know, it's so difficult to fight. It's beyond us. Mabuti na lang meron ng bakuna. So, at least we are now able to manage the pandemic. Now, what is happening in Ukraine is another thing. Ilang araw pa lang yan, no? Apektado na yung ating gas, no? The prices of oil have already been affected. And it would surely affect the prices of commodities. Then, sooner or later, you would have problems with the workforce. Marami dyan matatanggalan ng trabaho, maraming business ang magsasara, okay, so down the line. So it would multiply by itself. It all started with the extrafamiliar situation. Okay, so those are the type of stressors. Now, individuals and families who ignore signals of distress or who do not initiate appropriate coping mechanisms now would experience crises. Okay? So crisis is provoked when a person faces an obstacle to important life goals that is for a time insurmountable through the utilization of customary methods of problem solving. Crisis kasi is part of our life eh. We cannot get away from stress. It's how you handle stress that is very important so that you can prevent developing crisis. Pag pinabayaan mo yung stress na yan, sooner or later, magiging crisis yan. So these are the differences between stress and crisis. So as I have said, stress comes frequently in our daily life. No? Ang crisis, it should come rarely. No? If you are able to handle the stress, it can be overcome by coping mechanisms. Crisis can't be overcome easily, and it takes a long time to be in previous normal state. It doesn't harm an individual if he or she faces it positively. In crisis, there is no alternative. There is no alternative in case of crisis. When it occurs, it changes the whole pattern of living style of an individual, which is very miserable and terrible. Stress is a chronic condition, crisis acute. Kaya stress is more pervasive but less intense. Crisis is less pervasive but more intense. And if you do not handle this very well, it can lead to dysfunction. Okay? Now, you cannot afford to be in crisis for so long. If you read Kaplan, okay, around 6 weeks of being in crisis only, meaning in 6 weeks, the crisis should have been addressed. Otherwise, it would lead to mental health problem or major dysfunction. Excuse me, sasabayin ko yung pasyente. Okay, pasensya na po kayo. Alright. So, as I said, crisis is more intense, but please you try to address the crisis within 6 weeks to avoid major dysfunction or major mental health problem. Okay? So what are these types of crises? If we have two types of stressors, we also have two types of crises. We have maturational and we have situational. So when you talk of maturational crisis, this is the normative type of crisis which occurs across the lifespan, and it is related to critical transition points of human development. Remember the life cycle, and you have the task there. Okay, it is related to that, no? To maturational crisis na to. Alright? Situational is non-normative, and it is not anticipated and do not relate to normal maturational process. Okay? So let us see. Let's take for example, can I call on Osenia, Audrey?
Yes po.
Okay. What about death? O sige, death. How would you classify death? Is it maturational or is it situational?
Maturational po.
Why do you say so?
Kasi po, it's part po ng parang life cycle ng tao, wherein lahat po kasi ng individuals will actually undergo that din po. Like, it's inevitable. Hindi po siya parang mape-prevent.
Okay. So do you have any, do you agree 100%? Opinion. Is it maturational? Can it be situational as well? Opinion? Yes? We cannot hear you. So can I hear Nohara, Jason? Opinion problems with connectivity. What about you? Ang sabi sa atin ni Osenia, maturational daw, no? Would there be any chance, ano ba? Can I call on, ano muna? Nohara, I'll go back to you, Pamela, later, okay? So Jason, would there be a chance that death can be situational?
Pwede din po sa maging situational po. Depende po sa...
Sige, go on.
Depende po kapag halimbawa po, hindi pa naman patay, like for example, situational death due to stroke lang po, ganun po. Kasi kapag maturation po, if ever death, pag old age lang po siya. So, yun po kasi para medyo along the way, medyo expected na, unlike dun sa pagbiglaan.
Aha. Okay, may point ka. Pero kasi, ang death, kung dahil sa death due to old age, yes, it's maturational. But if it's death, for example, due to stroke, if it's death due to an accident, if it's death due to cancer, asthma, or whatever, death due to COVID, that's situational. Because we try to avoid death due to diseases. Because diseases are considered situations. That's why we are trying as much as we could to prevent disease and promote health. Diba? So it only becomes maturational if it's part of the life cycle, like death due to old age. But any death due to circumstance is considered situational. Okay? So, titingnan niyo yung context ng death. Alright? Can we hear from Openia, Pamela?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay, this time around, pregnancy. What do you think about pregnancy? Is it maturational or situational?
I guess po, Doc, if unexpected siya, Doc, situational po.
Can it be maturational? Isn't it part of the life cycle to be pregnant and to
Uh,
have children?
yes, yes din po, Doc. If planned din po na parang gusto din po ng couple to...
Okay, so true. Maturational, if it happens according to your life cycle, no? May edad ka na, handa ka naman na, o pinagplanuhan yung mag-asawa at magkaroon ng anak, then that becomes maturational. But if it happens in a teenager, in a student that is still studying, the pregnancy there becomes a situation that can bring about stress and crises, no? They understand? So you need to look at the context. You just cannot answer maturational or situational, or it can be both. Sometimes it can be both, no? If the situation happens in a transition point in your life, no? Kung kailan ka ikakasal, kailan ka nagkasakit, no? So both yun. You have maturational crisis and you have situational crisis occurring at the same time. And that would make life doubly difficult for you. Okay? So those are the types of crises. Just like your stress, you also go through the different stages of crisis. The initial phase of crisis is just like the alarm reaction of the general adaptation syndrome, in which tension arouses habitual response. No? The second phase is when the person becomes aware that normal coping mechanisms are ineffective. And in the third phase, once they become aware that whatever they're doing is not effective anymore, then they try to mobilize new and emergency problem-solving mechanism. If they fail in the third phase, then it can lead to major dysfunction or a mental health problem. Okay? So in these different phases, the third phase is really the most important, because this is when your patient can find themselves in your clinic and asking a lot of questions. Okay? Consulting for whatever symptoms they are feeling. And you must welcome them, because third phase is very critical. It is our hope that patients who are suffering from crisis would find their way to your clinic or would find a person that they can talk to. Okay? Ito yung role ng mga 24/7 na hotline, so that at any point in time that the patient needs to talk with someone, there is somebody to listen, who would listen to the patient or to the person in crisis. Okay? So the third phase is very important. Now, just to give you as an example, I have a patient last Sunday. Okay? Last Sunday, my pasyente ko, she presented to me ultrasound result with breast mass. No? So since then, with the breast mass, she's always she cannot sleep anymore. She started to lose weight. She's very much afraid that those bukol would become cancer. Okay? So nagpa-ultrasound lang siya. Hindi pa siya nagpa-consult sa doktor. Now, pumasok siya sa second phase. Alright? So, na-alarm siya sa mga bukol, kaya siya ay nagpa-ultrasound. Ang problema, hindi nga siya nagpa-consult. Nag-self-medicate, no? Sa second phase na yan, ano yung pinagagagawa niya? Okay, sa umpisa, siya ay she follows the recommendations of her friends and neighbors. But the last one that she followed was there is a networking company that she saw in Facebook. Pinakita pa niya sa akin yung gamot na binili niya. Actually, hindi siya gamot. It's some kind of supplement. Spanex, no? SPANEX, no? Mahal daw yung gamot, but there are a lot of this sa Facebook page na yon, there were lots of testimonies that when they started taking those that particular tablet, yung breast mass nila natanggal o nawala, no? She really believed that ads, no, that those testimonies, but it has been there for the past year. So sabi niya, doktora, hindi naman po nawawala yung mga bukol ko, and since uminom po ako noon, I noticed ako po ay nangangayayat na, nag-weight loss na ako. Okay? So I'm kind of worried bakit hindi nawawala yung bukol ko. Ang tagal ko nang umiinom nitong Spanex na to. You see, mas naniwala pa siya dun sa Facebook as a recommendation ng kanyang mga friendship instead of going to the doctor right away. So since nawawala na siya siya ay nangangayayat na at the bukol nandun pa rin, so now she decided to seek consult. Kaya napunta siya sa clinic last Sunday. Okay? But when I was talking to her, no, adit siya, okay? Sa tingin ko, malapit-lapit na siya nandito. Okay? Hindi ko lang na-apply lahat yung kaplan ko na, you have to satisfy number of symptoms before you would say the patient is suffering from anxiety disorder or whatever. Okay? So, konting-konti na lang sa major dysfunction na siya. Kasi agit na siya eh. And her words to me were, Doktora, tulungan mo ako. She was really already in crisis. She wants help. She wants to take away all those bad thoughts in her mind. She was really worried about those breast mass, and now she's losing weight. Okay? So I have to rule out possible causes of weight loss, no? Pero sa tingin ko, that weight loss is part and parcel of this anxiety and depression. Okay? So what did I do? What did I do to this patient, to that patient? Simply, I have to do CEA. Kasi definitely there is a misperception about the bukol, right? When I looked at the ultrasound, it was benign. The reading was benign, and suggestion lang of monitoring every 6 months. Okay? So, benign pa po siya, ma'am. Benign. Ibig sabihin, hindi po cancerous. Kailangan lang po natin ulitin ng ultrasound. Okay? At kung may lumalaki po dyan, binabiopsy lang po muna yan bago tayo mag-isip ng kung ano-ano pa. No? So, CEA lang ang kailangan ko. Now, the problem is, nag-weight loss na. So, hindi ko alam if the weight loss is emotional in nature or something that has biomedical source, no? So what I did is to work up the patient. So I told her na, so itong sa weight loss mo, tingin ko dito, dala din ng kakaisip mo, kasi pag isip ka ng isip, hindi ka makatulog, hindi ka makakain. Pero titingnan po muna natin kung may ibang dahilan. So nagpa-work up tayo for hyperthyroidism, we have to work up for diabetes, we have to rule out possible tuberculosis. Okay? So, na-appease naman yung pasyente, napangiti na siya ng bandang huli, may pwede pa palang gawin. May pwede palang gawin. So, she realized that, no? So, simpleng CEA lang, I was able to somehow reduce the feeling of crisis. So, she's now looking forward to doing the laboratory workups that I requested, and she's looking forward now to show me na sana yung mga result na yun is normal. Medyo naniniwala naman siya na sa isip niya rin eh. Nasa isip din niya nang gagaling. Naninervyos na siya ng gusto. Na-acknowledge naman na yun. No? She has that insight. That's why she's very much willing to really see for herself na everything would be normal. At nasa isip lang yung problema. Okay? Konting-konti na lang. Kung di pa siya nagpa-consult, iba na. Baka I would end up also referring her to a psychiatrist. Pero sa tingin ko, at the end of the consultation, mukhang masisave ko naman siya from a mental health problem. So kung meron man, hindi na mag-progress. Okay? So that is one of recent encounter with a patient that I can apply this crisis phases. No? So I would also like to see her this coming Sunday. Now, what are the factors that would affect outcome of the crisis? One is perception. Again, I have mentioned CEA. I did CEA, right? Because I need to look at how she thinks, what she thinks about the problem, no? So that's because that's the first thing that we have to consider. We need to check perception of the event, how they understand the event, how they understand the situation. But this understanding of the situation, how they see themselves, would be affected by a lot of these factors. Is it so acute? Is it chronic? Is it so severe? No, the magnitude. How long have they been suffering from it? Are there number of stressors? Baka hindi lang yun ang problema niya. Baka sa bahay may problema din siya. So it would also affect how that person, how the patient would see his situation. So you have to look at B, C, because this two is part of your history. This is part of your medical history. What is the past experiences? 5 why psychosocial status prior to threatening stressors. Meron ba siya past medical history of mental health? No? Lahat ito, pwedeng maapektuhan how a patient perceives the event or perceives the situation. Okay? So, ganun din naman pagka kayo ay estudyante, for example, ang student na isa lang ang problema, mas makaka-cope, right? Compared to a student who has multiple problems. Mas mahirap 'yon kasi mas makikita niya yung hirap rather than I can. Okay? So you have to be very understanding of the factors that can affect the perception of your patient. And you try to address all those given a time and a chance. What else apart from exploring the perception of your patient? You have to look at resources available for your patient. Tingnan ninyo anong support system niya. Definitely, as what we have discussed before, the first level of influence which you can tap would be the family members, would be the friends. And you can consider yourself also a part of it. Okay? Especially if the patient has long been your patient. Kung meron ka ng long-standing relationship with your patient, definitely you will be part of the situational support. Not by giving money, no? Hindi naman tayo nagbibigay ng pera, but a lot of psycho-emotional support by giving him the correct information, diba? By listening to their concerns, you are actually doing situational support. Now, adequate coping mechanism is another thing. When they come to you to the clinic, they would ask for your advice on how to cope with illness, on how to cope with stress. Then that is expected, and you should be able to do that for them, no? So if you're going to recommend coping mechanisms, what will be those recommendations? How do you cope with stress? Can I call on Navarro? If you are going to be asked by your patient, what will you recommend?
Pwede po physical activity po. For example, working out, leisure walking, or deep breathing din po para ma-relax po yung patient po.
Very good. So physical activity is a very good way to cope with stress. Okay, another one, can you recommend? Angeli.
Doc, yung sa spiritual po, mag-pray po, tsaka read the Bible.
Okay, very good. That is spirituality. Very good. Tama yun, no? Not necessarily religiosity, but spirituality. Religiosity kasi is rote practice yan eh. When you talk of spirituality, it's getting in touch with your inner being, with the God, with our God that we worship. So having quiet time, reading the Bible, praying, reflecting, those are ways of enhancing spirituality, and that is evidence-based. So, physical activity and spirituality. Next, Martinez. Anything else?
Baka po makatulong din kay patient yung kumausap po ng family member or friends to vent out po the stress niya.
That is what we call as talk therapy. So you talk with somebody whom you can trust, no? You don't talk and shout out in your social media page. Huwag naman sa social media. Take care of yourself. No, do not expose yourself unnecessarily to people whom you cannot trust. Mababash ka lang dyan, no? You'll never know the people how people would react. So please, if there are things that you need to talk to, it must be with somebody whom you can trust, so you won't feel betrayed. Anything else apart from what has been mentioned? Talk therapy, spirituality, physical activity, Limpin?
From experience po, ma-recommend ko din po mag-listen po sa music, ganun po.
To music, or you can play musical instruments, correct? So that is what we call as music therapy. Very good, no? Pero in the literature kasi, when you talk of music, when you talk of evidence, no? In classical music, not the rock and roll music. I just do not know if you can get evidence that would support that tawag dito, rock and roll, yung may ingay, can somehow address stress. Okay? But you can probably do a research on that. Just experimental. Legaspi, Charisse. Anything else apart from what has been mentioned, like music? Meron ka ba pwedeng ituro?
Ano po, Doc? Relaxation technique or yung sa breathing po.
Technique, yung mga meditations also, no? Kasama yan. Pwede. Yes, that's also part of the recommendations. So, what about, is there anybody who reads? Meron ba sa inyong fond of reading? Wala? Because bibliotherapy can also be recommended. When you talk of bibliotherapy, you recommend reading materials to your patients to read. But of course, you need to make sure that those are good reading materials. You need to screen them. You just do not tell them read. Okay? So you can suggest something for them to read. So that's bibliotherapy. You can also ask them to paint, to indulge in activities that can release negative emotions apart from physical activity. Mga painting is one, no? Art therapy is also good, apart from music therapy. Yes? Netflix. Hindi siya evidence-based eh. Yes, that can be a good way to relax, but you need to choose also what you're going to watch. Baka naman mas nakaka-depress pa yung inyong papanoorin, no? Alright? But as far as evidence is concerned, yeah, physical activity, music, art, bibliotherapy, spirituality, having a good support system, no? Joining a support group, that can also be one. Eating the right kind of food, less of carbo, can help also relieve stress. Kasi if too much carbo, it generates a lot of heat, mabigat, no? It's quite heavy for the body. So you need something that is cool and light, no? So less of the carbo. Okay, so those are things that you can suggest to your patient. But again, suggestion lang yun, as what we have talked about in goal setting. You need to engage the patient. Let the patient choose, no? Or let the patient think of what he can do in order to relieve stress. If it's something kasi that comes from the patient, the higher the chance that he would comply with the plan because it comes from him. It's something that he can do for himself. All right? Now, this is what we want them to develop among our patients and, of course, with their families: family resilience. Family resilience, characteristics, dimensions, and properties of families which help families to be resistant to disruption in the face of change and adaptive in the face of crisis. Okay? Now, how do we deal with crisis? When we see our patients in crisis, we need to assess. We need to assess. Okay? Kung individual patient lang yan, fine. If we are dealing with the family, we need to do further assessment. So what are the things that we need to look for? Assess by identifying and evaluating the precipitating event to understand its meaning to the patient. Again, perception of the event. You explore how they see their problem. You explore how they see their situation. Second, assess the level of functioning and coping mechanism. Okay? A good tool to use for this is UpGuard. If it's a child, then you do your family circle. Okay? You need to look at how the relationships are being affected and how they are coping with it. Okay? The third one, very important, certain family resources. Because what we want is enough resources for our patients and their families. In real life, actually, what we see in the clinic, there are more stressors than the resources. Okay? You can just imagine, they are poor, for example, or they lack financial resources, and yet they have multiple health problems. So definitely the stressors are more compared to the resources available to them. That would really put the family in crisis. So what we want is to identify resources, both intrafamilial, meaning within the family, and extrafamilial. So that if there is less of resources within the family, we can network with extrafamilial resources. As doctors, we can do referrals. So we can refer to our social service and let the social service help the patient tap extrafamilial resources. During this pandemic, when the pandemic struck, a lot of families went into financial crisis. Okay? So those who have COVID, those patients who were admitted in the ward, COVID ward, how were they able to pay all those expenses? They were referred to Office of the Vice President, to Office of the President, and to Philippine Charity Sweepstakes. So those were the common sources of funds for COVID patients who were admitted in private hospitals. Okay? So those are ways of helping them cope up with crisis. So determine the level of function, determine family resources. Now 2 and 5 are part of your usual history taking. Okay? For any person, you need to assess suicidal or homicidal risk. You need to assess, you need to look at the mental health history. Those are all parts of your medical interview. I would like to emphasize 6 and 7. You need to look at family development and life cycle stage, because if it happened outside of the life cycle stage, then the impact is greater. Diba? It is out of phase in the life cycle of the individual. So death, the death of an adolescent compared to the death of the elderly, whose death has greater impact. As we have mentioned before, it's the death of the adolescent because it's something that is not expected. It is something that is out of phase. Evaluate degree of disruption in the patient's life, current behavior, and cognitive function. Here, you need to look at one thing that you need to look into is the role of the affected patient. What is his role in the family? Is he the breadwinner? Is he the nurturer? Okay. what role does he play in the family? Because if his role is critical in the family, okay, his sickness or his death would somehow lead to a much changes in that would lead to disruption in their family life. So for example, between the death of a mother or death of a father, in the past, it's the death of the mother that has a greater impact, because the mother has multiple functions and multiple roles inside the family compared to the traditional role of the father, who is more of a breadwinner rather than a nurturer. Okay? Those were the evidences in the past. Okay? I just do not know if this is still true up to the present time. That might be a good topic for research, no? If there is a change in the role of parents, or are they still, do they still have the traditional roles? Okay? So these are the things that you need to look for when you are trying to assess families in crisis. I have highlighted the precipitating event, the coping mechanisms, and the level of function and resources, because they are also part of the factors affecting outcome of crisis. So if there are more resources, the better for the family. If they are coping, if they have good coping mechanisms, that would also help them deal with the crisis. And if they see their life, the situation, as a challenge rather than a big problem, then probably they would be able to do something about it. Okay? So what can we do after we have assessed? These are the interventions. No? What are the interventions? Supportive pa rin, no? The most that we can do is support them, listening to their concerns. Okay? Trying to give them information that they need so that they would know what to do. No? That's supportive approach. We can do health education again, no? Especially CEA if there are any misperception. But again, you have to remember that not all patients are ready to listen. Not all patients are ready to learn. As we have discussed in health belief model, there are factors that you need to address, like the perceived susceptibility, perceived seriousness of a given health problem, perceived benefits and barriers to taking actions, and cues to action such as knowledge that someone else become affected by the condition. So if they perceive their condition to be more susceptible to a specific condition, then they would more willing to listen. If they perceive their condition to be serious, they would be more eager to listen. Okay? If they perceive that there is benefit, then they would listen. If they know somebody who suffers the same, then they would probably listen more. Okay? So yes, supportive approach, educative approach, and problem-solving approach. Problem-solving approach is like also educating your patient, except that it is more focused on a specific situation. So it's something that is more targeted to the problem itself. No? Pag education kasi more broad siya. But problem solving is more specific in solving a specific problem. Now, what you need to remember in problem-solving approach is that you are not expected to solve the problem for your patient. You will just help patient to think of possible solutions to the problem. Okay? You are going to work with and you are not going to work for your patient. They understand that. Okay? So problem. Kaya lang, in times of crisis, there are patients that when they are in crisis, they cannot think clearly. Their mind is so clouded with negative emotions. No? They cannot think, they cannot focus. Then so be it. They are not ready. In times like that, they are not yet ready to think, you will be forced to give a prescriptive action to your patient. Temporarily, this is what you can do, ma'am or sir. Pag hindi pa sila makapag-isip, then the most that you can do is prescribe what to do. Okay, but make sure that you follow up the case or the patient closely. So so that when they are ready for further action, it should come from them, not from you anymore. Okay? So these are things that we can do for our patient, and if that is not enough, then be ready to refer your patient to mental health professionals, no? who would have enough time to listen to their concerns. This is on a primary care approach, as we see them in the clinic. Given the number of patients that we handle every day, we should be able to do this. Okay? So, any questions on stress and crisis? I'm going to upload also an article on stress and crisis. It would tell you a little bit more on the physiology of stress. Okay? Just to remind you that stress is very much tied up to your physiology. You need to be reminded of the hormones that are responsible to stress. It's something that you are very familiar with. I would just like you to realize somehow be aware of the clinical correlation of physiology with stress. Okay? So we have discussed naman yung sympathetic, we have discussed the gas. So those are part of their physiology. But in that article, there would be more discussion of that. Okay? Do you have any questions? Wala naman. So are you under stress or are you in crisis? May I ask? Honestly, stressed ba kayo o in crisis na kayo? At this point in time, dapat stress pa lang, ha? First prelim pa lang. So, pwede pa natin ma-prevent yung crisis. Okay? If you would do your best as early as now, we would be able to prevent crisis situation. Okay, sabi naman ni Roy, tama naman, stress pa lang po. O, stress pa lang, ha? So, pag-usapan natin yan na hindi na siya aabot sa crisis. So, as early as now, do something about it. Lahat ng pwedeng nakakadistract sa inyo, you try to address. If you need help, please, I'm serious about it. Try to seek consult. Our guidance office is open for any Zoom consultation, or you can probably seek consult with your mentors. If you have mentors, you can spend the time with them and try to talk about your concerns. So, huwag niyong sosolohin kung merong nagpapagulo sa isip nyo, better talk about it. Better now than never. Okay? So, thank you. I hope you'll do well in your practice.